Hey family, welcome to another video. As you know, I'm Chef Mike, the owner and operator of Southern Soul Cafe, where we put the soul in your bowl. Today's video, we're going to be doing something that I think everybody loves, everybody enjoys. We're going to be doing a peach cobbler. Okay. It's not real hard to make. Pretty simple actually. Just putting a few ingredients together, making sure your crust is make sure your crust is well done. Make sure you get your crust done at the bottom as well as the top. The filling itself is not very hard to do. So with that being said, let's get into it, all right? Be right back with you. Stay tuned. Okay, family, we're back. And we're going to start off with the crust. I'm only doing this. These are pre-made pie crusts that I got from my local supermarket. Because I honestly just don't have the time to try and make these myself. So luckily my local supermarket carries these. Okay, so I'm putting flour on. I'm putting flour on the front and the back of it just to make sure that it doesn't stick. All right. As you can see, it's around it's a round it's a rounded out piece of dough. Okay, so what I like to do, I like to it's a rounded out pie crust. What I like to do is roll it out in the shape of my pan that I'm going to use. All right. So what I do is take it and kind of push it each way, because that's kind of the way it's gonna be shaped. All right, and with that being said, I kind of just take my rolling pin, kind of flatten it out. Okay, just flatten it out like that until you get into the shape of your of the pan that you're using. You know. Now, of course, if your peach cobbler is going to fit into a regular size, say, pie pan, then there's no need to do this. Okay? But because mine is not, I have to shape it in the pan that it's going in. Hence the reason for me doing this. All right? So I'm going to widen it out just a bit. Now, doing all of this, some of that flour may actually get worked in the pie crust itself. So all you have to do is just lift it up, throw something underneath so it doesn't stick. All right? And that's that. So, all right, now that we've got it somewhat of the shape, I'm going to use my 13x9 Pyrex dish that I've already pre-sprayed with non-stick cooking spray. Okay. Traditionally, you would have taken you some shortening and flour and coated it. but not anymore. That non-stick cooking spray works wonders, guys. So now that you've got it inside that pan a little bit, kind of just sit it down in there to the shape. Now, I'm not really worried about how it's fitting down in there, because during this cooking process, as this par cooks, it's going to shrink up. And I'll show you that once it comes out of the oven. Okay? And don't worry about any tears. If you can, try not to tear it. That is, if you can. Sometimes you can't help it. So, all right. Now, that's kind of the way it's sitting in there. All right. And that's pretty much what it looks like. So now, what we're going to do, we're going to take us a fork and we're going to dock it. Simple term means we're just going to put holes in it. So as it bakes, it doesn't bubble up. That's all it means. When someone says they're docking their pie crust or docking their dough, that's all they're doing. They're just putting holes in it. So during the cooking process, the air that's going to be generated in the dough can come out. And your dough, your pie crust, your dough, or whatever it is that you're working with, doesn't cook up to this gigantic puffball. That's just, okay? So that's kind of why, you know, we do this. Well, that is the reason why we do this. Okay? And that's all to it. Nothing really hard about it. And there's no real nothing really fancy about it. You know, some recipes, depending on what you're cooking, you have to be very precise. And you have to pay attention to detail. With peach cobblers, that is not the case. Okay, now that we've got this all docked, okay, it's time for it to go in the oven. Because right now, you want that crust to kind of cook on the bottom, or start cooking anyway. Because the last thing you want is, you know, a doughy crust. That would ruin everything. Okay? Now that we've got it in there, I've preheated my oven to 400 degrees, and it's going in. And we're going to cook it for about 7 minutes. Okay? And there we go. Meanwhile, we're going to get started on our filling. Okay? I've just got some regular old yellow clean peaches. And what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to take my dry ingredients, which are my cinnamon, okay, Okay. My nutmeg. That's not too, you don't want too much of nutmeg because it will overpower it. Okay. I'm going to get my sugar, which is roughly, I'm doing a couple of cups. I want it sweet, but I don't want it too sweet. Now, I'm going to do something that some people may or may not agree with. Okay? I'm going to stick a bit of brown sugar in my peach cobbler. Okay? Roughly half a cup. Okay? More or less. Then I'll add a little bit more granulated sugar on top of that. Okay. And I'm going to add a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon and a half of flour. I'm going to mix all of that in. Okay. Now we're going to mix all of these ingredients in here really well. Now, you may have some lumps of sugar. If you can, break them up. If not, they got to go. Because they may or may not dissolve completely. You know, see, like this one, that one broke up pretty well, so we don't have to worry about it too tough. Like this guy, that guy's got to go, because I'm not sure, like I said, if it's going to dissolve during the cooking process. And the last thing you want is uncooked lumps of sugar in your dessert. Okay? Now, we'll take that. And we'll put it in our pan. Okay? And we're going to take the juice from my peaches we're going to put those in that pan and turn it on. Okay? Now what's going to happen is the juices from those peaches and those dry ingredients are going to come together, and that's going to be the basis for your filling. Sometimes this thing doesn't want to work. I'm sorry, guys. I think I was holding it too tight. And again, it may just not want to work. Okay? So, like I said, we'll just take our juice. Now, once that's done, we can kind of whisk this in together. And after a while, you will see it come together. We'll put this will form a syrup. Okay? We'll give it a quick taste to see where we are. See whether we need. It's pretty tasty. However, I am going to add a little bit more sugar because and just a touch more sugar. And that beeping means that our crust is just about ready. Okay? And yes, that is perfect. Okay? Okay, that's your crust. It's not completely done. No, we still have plenty more of. We still have plenty more cooking that we need to do. So right now, that's just the basis of our. That's just the bottom crust for our cobbler. Okay. So now that we've got some of our syrup started, I'm going to add just a touch of salt. And that's only to counterbalance some of that sugar in there. Okay. Now we'll add the final can of juice. Okay. 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 Now, while that's doing its thing, I'm going to add just a touch, a few drops of lemon juice that really brings out the flavor of everything that we're going to put in it. Okay? Just a few. Okay? Because lemon juice is an acid, it literally makes everything pop. So if I can get this remaining can open, when that syrup starts to form, we'll actually put our peaches in it, and that will be our filling. Okay, one, got two, and our third can of peaches. Okay. So now, give it a few minutes and let it start doing its thing. Meanwhile, while we're waiting on that to happen, we'll actually get our top, crust ready. We'll get it started. Okay. Put our stuff away here. And we're getting all of the we're forming that syrup, so we cut down on the cooking time. That's the only reason why we're doing it. Okay? So, of course, again, put your flour down. Okay? And get your, roll out your crust. All right? Put it on the turtle. Okay, now, unlike the first crust, we're actually going to roll this out and cut it. Okay? Okay, again, we are flouring the surface of it, so there's no sticking. All right? So now we just take our crust and kind of square it out. Okay? All right. Do the same thing for this side. Okay. And now we'll just roll it out. Okay. We widen it out just a little bit. Okay. And we want this top crust to cover as much of the top as possible. This is more of this is what people are going to see. Okay? So you want this as best as you can get, as best as you can get it. Okay? So now, what I like to do, take my pizza cutter and cut it off square. Okay. Just square it up. I mean, well, as square as you can get it. Okay. We're not gonna abandon those pieces. Okay. So what we're gonna do, I think we'll cut us about 4 long ones, or maybe 5. Okay. Now we've got 5 long ones. Definitely going lengthwise with these guys. Okay. Now, I can see my syrup heating up. So now it's time to just put my peaches in there. Okay. So now we'll just stir these guys up and kind of let them start cooking a little bit. Okay. Now, with your 5 long strips, we'll just start to lay them out. Okay. And then you're going to want to cut some shorter ones to go across the short end of the pan. I kind of just take these guys here and widen them out just a little bit. Okay. Now here is where these guys come into play. Okay, you can just take those old strips of pie crust and kind of just put them on top and just begin to roll them into your original crust. Okay, they will just kind of mesh in there. Some of them might not be as willing as others. So you can just take them and just kind of just roll them together. Okay. And this is what you come up with. Okay, it's not the prettiest, but it'll get you where you want to be. Okay, Okay. There we go. All right. So now that we've got these pie crusts kind of melded together like that, we can roll them out just a touch more. And they may break up. They may not. So now, here's what you do. Take your 5 long strips and we begin to kind of just weave our older strips. Weave the strips that we're going to cut into the original ones. Okay? Now, I'm going to give it a taste right before it goes in that pan. See where we are. Oh man, that's perfect. Okay. So, again, just cut these off square as best as you can. Okay, so now you fold every other one down because you may have to push these guys together a little bit. Okay, now once that's on there, you just flip them back up. Now, on the next run, you do the very opposite thing. You lift these guys up. And all you're doing is just laying these right across each other. Process isn't that hard. You don't really need a culinary degree to see what to do exactly what I'm doing. But I'm thinking to roll these out just a little bit wider. On each end. Makes for, just makes it look better. Okay. So that's that. Excuse me. Okay. I'll kick that up just a little bit because it's almost time for these peaches to go in that crust. Okay. Now, I know I'm being a little slow, but I'm a perfectionist, or I call myself being a perfectionist. I like my food, my products, anything that I'm doing to be the best of my abilities. So that's why I like or attempt to take my time and do everything right. So that's why it's going to take me a few minutes to get this done. Okay. All right. And that's just about that top crust. Okay. Now, I like trying to roll it flat because I don't want it to break apart or anything when I'm putting it together. I mean, you can take some of these guys here, if you like, and put on the ends. I mean, I don't really like wasting any food. So, definitely, especially not pie crust. You know, in this regard, the look, not so much what I'm concerned with. Okay. I just want to use as much as I've got. So now, I'll take my rolling pin and kind of just press it together. Okay. So now, these peaches are just about ready to be put in that pan. Now, I am not real satisfied with the consistency. So what I'm going to do, and if I have it, take me some cornstarch and add to it. That'll thicken up that syrup. And again, like I said, it will cut down on that cooking time. Okay? Because you want to get you want a good thick syrup when it comes to this. Okay? I mean, you don't want your peach cobbler to be all runny. That would be disastrous. Okay? Well, we're letting that cook off or cook down. All right. All right. So now, to satisfy myself and to satisfy the and to satisfy that syrup, to satisfy the thickening of that syrup, all I'm doing is adding a solution of corn, a little bit of cornstarch and a little bit of water. This will aid in the thickening of that syrup. Okay? So you just add it in like that. And when it comes to a boil, as you can see, it almost instantly thickened up. See that? Almost instantly. So now, as it cooks even more, it will thicken up even more. Okay? So now, it's time to take that filling and put over into our pie crust. Okay? So now, and I want to get all of that. I want to get all of that syrup. Okay? That's what we want. So, now here comes the tricky part. We're going to transfer this crust over to that pan. Okay? Well, we'll bring that crust closer. Now, here's what we're doing. We'll try and get that crust off the counter. Okay? That's all we're doing at this point. So, we'll try and take it and flip it that way. and pick it up in one scoop. Okay. So far, so good. But now, you gotta take this and flip this side over here. Okay. That's just about right. Just about right. Okay. So, now that we've just about got everything all taken care of, I'll take a knife and cut that excess off. And no, we're not throwing it away. We're just going to put it right here. Okay? I'm just putting it right back. So, all right. One more time on this side. And we are just about ready for the oven. Okay, family. This is your pre-cooked peach cobbler. Okay? That's what it looks like before it goes in the oven. Now, one last step before it goes in the oven. You're going to get yourself an egg wash. Simple egg and water. And you're going to brush your crust before it goes in. And we'll do that right now. Okay. We'll just take simple egg and water. That's all we're doing. Okay. We're going to take our pastry brush and just go over our pie crust. That's all we're doing. Okay. And that's all there is to it. Now we're putting this peach cobbler in the oven and we're going to cook it. Roughly 40-45 minutes on 400 degrees. Okay. Let's set it to set it 35 minutes. 35 minutes, we'll be right back with you. All right.